Have you ever heard of the Emperor of China riding a bear? Picture this, the first Emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, charging majestically into battle on a polar bear. Yep, you heard that right. Somewhere on the internet, specifically the Chinese side of it, there's a meme of this ancient ruler literally riding a polar bear across the Great Wall. It's the kind of image that demands a double take and further investigation. So down the rabbit hole we go. For the uninitiated, polar bears are not native to China. The whole thing feels more like a special mount on a middling MMORPG rather than something you'd find in a history book. It is, of course, ridiculous. But behind the meme lies a hint of truth about the man himself, because Qin Shi Huang's real story is pretty wild. Now, if you need a quick history refresher, Qin Shi Huang was basically the original emperor of China. Back in the 3rd century BCE, China was basically a bunch of warring states that spent centuries fighting, like feuding relatives at a holiday dinner. Then along came Qin Shi Huang and decided enough was enough. A few bloody conquests later, by 221 BCE, he'd vanquished all the rival kingdoms and crowned himself Shi Huangdi, meaning the first emperor. Talk about confidence. Some people might have a Napoleon complex, but Qin Shi Huang pretty much invented the emperor complex. Once he became the big boss, he really got to work. Think of him as a hardcore efficiency geek. He standardized everything from currency and weights to the writing system across his new empire. Coins, weights, even the width of cart axles, you name it, he made it uniform. Imagine being able to force an entire continent's worth of civilizations to use the same fonts, the same money, the same carts. In a way, he was unifying more than just territory. He was unifying how people live day to day. And he didn't exactly ask nicely. Let's just say complaining about the new rules was highly hazardous to your health. Qin Shi Huang also had a flair for colossal projects. He connected and extended the fortifications on China's northern border to create the first Great Wall. A modest wall, only about 1,500 miles, that's 2,400 kilometers long, and so wide that 6 horses could gallop abreast atop. And unlike a certain wall in Game of Thrones, this wall was real and meant to keep out actual invaders, not ice zombies, just regular barbarians. He also built grand palaces and an extensive road network, basically playing city builder in real life, with unlimited labor at his disposal. If you thought all that was a bit much, wait till you hear his plans for the afterlife. The emperor was so over the top that when it came time to secure his legacy, he went all in. He had a massive underground mausoleum constructed, complete with an army of thousands of life-sized terracotta soldiers, each one unique and even armed with real weapons. All of them were buried to guard him in the next world. Who needs a single trusty steed, or bear, in the afterlife when you have a custom-built clay legion? Despite all these grand endeavors, our guy Qin was terrified of one thing: his own mortality. That's right, the man who united an empire and made his rivals intimate with the sharp end of a spear was scared of the same thing. Old Qin Shi Huang couldn't come to terms with his own mortality. He became obsessed with finding an elixir of life, sending alchemists on wild goose chases for potions to make him live forever. Well, for some reason, the alchemists of the day seemed to believe that mercury was the answer to immortality. That's right, the little red goop that lives in your thermometer, that can apparently make you live forever. Well, in an unfortunate twist for the emperor, mercury does not extend your life. Quite the opposite, in fact. His immortality potions were toxic. The first emperor who wanted to live forever poisoned himself before hitting 50. So, did Qin Shi Huang actually ever ride a polar bear? Well, no. Of course he didn't. There were no polar bears in ancient China. Besides, he was probably too busy running his empire for that sort of thing. The meme of him atop a giant bear, fists outstretched, fit his almost mythical legacy perfectly. He saw himself as larger than life and reshaped the world to fit his vision, even making plans to rule in the afterlife, just in case. Honestly, Charging into history on the back of a polar bear is about the only crazy feat he didn't attempt. If any Chinese emperor could pull off riding a polar bear into battle, it would have been Qin Shi Huang.